Today, it's easy to get information about the best travel destinations in the world. There are guidebooks, travel agencies, and, of course, the internet. But what about ancient times? What were the must-see sites and destinations for travelers in the ancient world, and where were they located? The answer to the first part of that question is simple. We're talking about the 7 wonders of the ancient world. As for the second part, we'll let Alexander the Great be our guide. Despite ruling for only 13 years, Alexander the Great managed to build a vast empire stretching from the Mediterranean shores to the Indus River. His conquests allowed ancient Greek travelers access to the Persian, Babylonian, and Egyptian lands and civilizations. As these inquisitive travelers began exploring, they were captivated by the grandeur and innovation of the structures they encountered. So what did they do? They started making lists of what they saw to remember it better and share the beauty they witnessed. Little did they know that their awe-inspiring experiences and memories would lay the foundation for the renowned list of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, an ancient version of modern guidebooks. Of course, it took a while before this list was solidified. Various historians, scholars, and poets had their own ideas about what deserved a spot in this ancient hall of fame. Eventually, this illustrious list was pared down to 7 extraordinary structures: the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, and the Statue of Zeus at Olympia. These wonders might differ in size and purpose, but each one represents a pinnacle of human achievement in architecture and engineering of the era, as well as a testament to the sheer ingenuity and hard work humans are capable of. Unfortunately, you won't be able to witness these wonders in their full glory today, as most of them have been lost to the passage of time, natural disasters, or the human penchant for destruction. But luckily, we can visit these remarkable monuments virtually, and unlike the ancient Greeks, we can do so in under an hour. So let's embark on a captivating tour of the original locations of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The first stop? Giza, the 3rd largest city in Egypt. There, located on a rocky plateau on the west bank of the Nile River, you'll find the sole surviving wonder of the ancient world: the Great Pyramid of Giza. The mere fact that this architectural marvel has stood the test of time for over 4,500 years is reason enough to start our journey here. But its endurance is far from the only reason the Great Pyramid of Giza is a fitting first stop for exploring the 7 wonders. Its impressive construction, which people still grapple to understand, makes it noteworthy as well. According to the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, it took as many as 20 years and 100,000 people to complete the Great Pyramid. This Herculean endeavor also called for over 2.3 million blocks of stone to be quarried, transported, and meticulously assembled to create the iconic 5.75 million-ton monolith that we see today. But that's not where the mind-blowing figures end. You see, the dimensions of the Great Pyramid are colossal, even by modern standards. Originally, the pyramid was roughly 481 feet tall from the base to the peak. To put this figure into perspective, the Great Pyramid's original height was equivalent to a modern-day 50-story skyscraper. Even better, its current height is no less impressive. Though the passing of time and Mother Nature took a toll on its structure, the Great Pyramid currently stands at around 455 feet. That's only about 3 stories shorter. As for the base, the length of each side averages approximately 756 feet, making it larger than many modern city blocks. But what's even more impressive is that each side of the Great Pyramid is nearly perfectly aligned with the cardinal points of the compass: north, south, east, and west. Plus, the pyramid's dimensions showcase exceptional precision, with a ratio of length to height equating to 2 pi. Besides its tremendous size and accuracy, this pyramid stands out for the stones used in its casing. This casing was composed of white limestone brought in from Tura, the primary quarry for limestone in ancient Egypt, and located halfway between modern-day Cairo and Helwan, some 6 miles southeast of the Giza Plateau. The white limestone casing gave the Great Pyramid a unique appearance and a gleaming brilliance visible from miles away. Due to how big and bright this pyramid was, some believed it could even have been seen from the moon. Unfortunately, the highly polished casing was loosened during earthquakes in northern Egypt almost 700 years ago. As a result, its stones were stripped and carted away to the nearby Cairo to be used for building projects, shortening the pyramid's height. But speaking of buildings, why was the Great Pyramid of Giza constructed in the first place? This pyramid, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu, was built as a tomb for this second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt. The Great Pyramid was actually a part of a complex, including several temples and other pyramids. 2 of these structures were considered the main pyramids at the Giza Pyramid Complex, alongside the Great Pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafra and the Pyramid of Menkaure. These pyramids were named after Khufu's son Khafre and grandson Menkaure, who built them as their graves next to the Great Pyramid. All 3 pyramids were built between 2700 BC and 2500 BC, with many historians placing the construction of the Great Pyramid around 2570 BC. At the time of its construction, the Great Pyramid was the tallest structure in the world. Even more impressively, it retained this flattering status for over 3,800 years until the construction of the Lincoln Cathedral in Lincoln, England, in 1311. This structure ended the Great Pyramid's unparalleled reign as the world's tallest by being roughly 525 feet tall. Interestingly, the Lincoln Cathedral only held that title for 237 years as a violent storm collapsed its spire in 1548. Of course, the Great Pyramid of Giza is far from the tallest structure today, as this honor now belongs to a building almost 6 times its height, the 2,717-foot-tall Burj Khalifa in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. However, as the only standing wonder of the ancient world, the Great Pyramid remains unparalleled in its historical significance and cultural impact, not to mention the mysteries that continue to shroud its construction. As much as we'd like to continue pondering the mysteries of the Great Pyramid and admiring its architectural marvels, it's time for our virtual tour to move on to the next stop. But believe it or not, we're still not leaving the country. That's right, the next wonder on our agenda is also located in Egypt. The second stop on our marvelous journey takes us north of Giza, near Alexandria, a Mediterranean port city at the Nile Delta's western edge. Our exact location is the small island of Pharos, where the next wonder of the ancient world, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, once stood tall and proud. If you're wondering how tall exactly, the answer is roughly 380 feet. To help you visualize just how tall this is, the entire Statue of Liberty is approximately 305 feet tall, from the ground to the tip of the torch. This legendary lighthouse, perhaps the most famous in history, was completed between 284 and 246 BC, during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. However, it was his father, Ptolemy I Soter, who commissioned the construction of the lighthouse shortly after declaring himself king in 305 BC. The purpose of this lighthouse was no surprise. It served as a navigational landmark for ships entering the busy harbor of Alexandria. However, the lighthouse's design is what made it truly remarkable. It was constructed in 3 distinct stages, all sloping inwards. Stage 1 was the square stone base, 98 by 98 feet. Stage 2 was a middle octagonal section, and Stage 3 was a circular section. According to some accounts, the top section housed a 16-foot statue of either Alexander the Great or Ptolemy II. Though this statue may or may not have been there, one object certainly was: a giant curved mirror. This mirror was used to reflect sunlight during the day. Legend has it that the focused sunlight from the mirror could be used to destroy enemy ships, setting their sails or wooden structures on fire. So it's no wonder that it's also said that this intense light could be seen up to 35 miles away. But what about the night? At night, a fire was lit to guide the travelers. The wood used for the fire was transported up using a ramp and a dumbwaiter within the lighthouse. This ingenious design was initially attributed to Sostratus of Cnidus, a Greek architect and engineer, but this claim was later disputed. Although the true identity of the architect remains uncertain, one thing's for sure: they created a technical masterpiece that would go on to inspire all the subsequent lighthouse designs for centuries. Best of all, the Lighthouse of Alexandria still stood for many centuries. At approximately 1600 years, this lighthouse is the third longest standing wonder of the ancient world. With that said, what led to the demise of this magnificent lighthouse? Just as with the Great Pyramid's casing, the answer is simple: earthquakes. It's believed that as many as 22 earthquakes contributed to the gradual destruction of the Lighthouse of Alexandria. However, the most detrimental ones occurred in 956, 1303, and 1323 AD. By 1480, the lighthouse was gone entirely. Its ruins, bits of marble blocks, were used to construct the citadel of Kaipe, a defensive fortress at the western end of Alexandria. But if the lighthouse no longer existed by 1480, how do we know not only of its construction, but its design? Through ancient coins. Images of the Lighthouse of Alexandria can be found on bronze coins dating from AD 133, giving some indication of its impact on the entire world. In fact, the impact of the Lighthouse of Alexandria was so profound that many languages adopted the name of the island it stood on, Pharos, as the root word for the word lighthouse. Take French, for example. In that language, the word for lighthouse is, and apologies to any native French speakers if I butcher this, phare. For our next stop, we'll have to travel in the opposite direction, to the east. We're in the present-day city of Al-Hilal in Iraq. Here, near the Euphrates River, stood arguably the most intriguing wonder of the ancient world: the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. What makes this wonder so intriguing? Is it its unparalleled beauty? Or perhaps it's the unbelievable irrigation system? Not quite. It's the fact that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon might not have existed at all. There's almost no first-hand evidence or archaeological proof to definitively confirm their existence. For instance, no major Babylonian or Greek historians mention them in their writings. So how did it make the list? Those same writers, such as Diodorus Siculus, describe them so vividly that it's hard to dismiss the existence of such a marvel entirely. So, what did they say these gardens looked like? They describe blooming flowers, luscious fruit, majestic terraces, cascading greenery, impressive waterfalls. These were just some of the enchanting elements that supposedly adorned the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. These gardens were planted as high as 75 feet above ground level, creating a stunning vertical oasis. But what was the purpose of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon? Though the purpose of the first two wonders we discussed, the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Lighthouse of Alexandria, was purely practical, this time the ancient wonder takes a more symbolic, or better yet romantic, dimension. You see, these gardens were allegedly built by Nebuchadnezzar II, the longest reigning king of the Babylonian dynasty, for his wife Ametis, who was originally from Media, a region in the northwestern part of modern-day Iran, filled with green hills and lush landscapes. Comparatively, the arid surroundings of Babylon, located in the middle of the desert, were significantly less appealing to her, to say the least. To remedy this, Nebuchadnezzar reportedly commissioned the Hanging Gardens, a spectacular display of nature's beauty in the heart of Babylon. Better yet, these gardens also contained trees and plants of Ametis's distant homeland to make her feel at home in Babylon. But as romantic as this sounds, it also raises a question about the existence of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. If Babylon was so dry, how could the Hanging Gardens sustain such lush vegetation? Some reports and excavations suggest this issue was overcome thanks to an exceptional irrigation system that relied on a cellar well and chain pump to carry the water dozens of feet into the air. In other words, these gardens were self-watering. If this system sounds too good to be true, you're not the only one having doubts. Many historians would agree with you. However, this doesn't mean they believe the gardens never existed. They just don't think they existed in Babylon, despite what their name suggests. According to these historians, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon should actually be the Hanging Gardens of Nineveh. Nineveh is the present-day city of Mosul in northern Iraq, located on the eastern bank of the Tigris River. These gardens were reportedly constructed there by Sennacherib, the king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire. After the Assyrians conquered Babylon in the 7th century, Nineveh was often called the New Babylon, which could explain the confusion in subsequent descriptions of the Hanging Gardens. After all, Nineveh made much more sense for the location of these gardens, as the city had a well-documented system of ancient aqueducts, which could offer the necessary irrigation to sustain such grand gardens. But wherever these gardens were, one thing's for sure: they aren't there today. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, or Nineveh, were utterly destroyed by the 1st century AD at the latest, either by wars, erosion, or a repeating offender, earthquakes. The fourth wonder on our list is the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, a city in southeastern Turkey. This wonder was also the second longest lasting construction on the list, defying the ravages of time and Mother Nature for over 1,700 years. As with the Lighthouse of Alexandria, you don't have to speculate about the purpose of this construction. As you might be able to tell by its name, it's clear it was meant to be a tomb akin to the monumental pyramids in Egypt. However, the contemporaries of this construction couldn't arrive at the same conclusion as quickly. Why? Because the word mausoleum hadn't been coined yet. This term actually originates from the mausoleum at Halicarnassus itself, or more specifically from the person behind its commissioning. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was commissioned by Mausolus, a ruler of Caria and a satrap of the Achaemenid Empire, spanning from the Balkans in the west to the Indus Valley in the east. This mausoleum was supposed to be a glorious resting place for Mausolus and his sister wife, Artemisia II. Unfortunately for Mausolus, he died in 353 BC, before his mausoleum was completed. His grief-stricken wife took charge of the project, determined to honor her husband's memory with a monument that surpassed all others. The construction was overseen by renowned ancient architects Satyros and Pythias of Priene, as well as famous sculptors Scopas, Leochares, Bryaxis, and Timotheus. Given the names featured in this project, it shouldn't be surprising that the resulting construction was much more than just a tomb. It was a work of art. With this in mind, let's delve into the awe-inspiring details of the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Like the Lighthouse of Alexandria, this mausoleum consisted of 3 layers, all rectangular. Layer 1 was a base, roughly 63 feet tall on its longer sides, north and south. Layer 2 featured the now recognizable columns, 36 of them, crowned by a pyramid-like roof consisting of 24 steps. And Layer 3, the top layer, showcased a 20-foot rendition of a marble 4-horse chariot with figures of Mausolus and Artemisia riding it. This entire mind-blowing construction was about 140 feet tall and made exclusively with gleaming marble. As previously mentioned, this majestic construction stood untouched for centuries, even surviving a raid by Alexander the Great. However, like other monuments on this list, it couldn't survive a series of earthquakes that rocked it to its core. A 13th century earthquake destroyed most of the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, while a 15th century one turned it to ash. This also means that the mausoleum was the last surviving of the 6 destroyed wonders of the world. Today, pieces of this once grand structure can be found in London's British Museum. The British Museum is also home to fragments of our next wonder of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. To visit this wonder, we'll stay in present-day Turkey, traveling to Ephesus, an ancient Greek port city roughly 2 miles southwest of modern-day Selçuk in Izmir province. This ancient site actually housed as many as 3 iterations of this remarkable temple. The original structure was built to celebrate Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, and soon became a revered place of worship. Unfortunately, this temple was destroyed in the 7th century BC, and little is known about its form. The second Temple of Artemis was erected around 550 BC and was funded largely by King Croesus of Lydia. This new iteration, designed by the Cretan architect Chersiphron and his son Metagenes, was far superior to the first one. The new and improved Temple of Artemis was about 377 feet long and 150 feet wide, and surrounded by the iconic Ionic-styled columns, reportedly 40 feet tall. The columns and temple itself were decorated by some of the most celebrated artists of the ancient world, including Endoios, who sculpted the new cult statue of Artemis housed within. The remarkable second version of this temple was destroyed by fire in 356 BC, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is that the fire was deliberately set by a man named Herostratus, who sought notoriety by destroying one of the most renowned structures of the ancient world. Legend has it that this horrible act was carried out on the same night Alexander the Great was born, creating a macabre association between the destruction of the temple and the birth of a legendary conqueror. Herostratus was put to death for his heinous crime, and the government declared uttering his name illegal. Unfortunately, this didn't stop his name from being known to history, essentially giving him what he desperately sought: immortality through infamy. But this senseless arson didn't stop the Ephesians from rebuilding the Temple of Artemis once again, and this time they made it even more grandiose. 450 feet long, 225 feet wide, and 60 feet tall. It was built of marble, glittered with gold accents, and surrounded by steps leading to a 400-foot-long terrace. It was precisely this version of the temple that was commemorated as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. In fact, it wasn't just commemorated as one of the wonders, it was regarded as the most beautiful and impressive of them all. Here's how Antipater of Sidon, an ancient Greek poet who created the first surviving Greek record of the 7 wonders, described the new Temple of Artemis. I have set eyes on the wall of lofty Babylon, on which is a road for chariots, and the statue of Zeus by the Alpheus, and the hanging gardens, and the colossus of the sun, and the huge labor of the high pyramids, and the vast tomb of Mausolus. But when I saw the house of Artemis, that mounted to the clouds, those other marvels lost their brilliancy, and I said, Lo, apart from Olympus, the sun never looked on aught so grand. Eventually, this version of the temple was also destroyed by human hands with the coming of Christianity. This is our cue to leave present-day Turkey and move on to Greece, where we can find the remaining 2 wonders of the ancient world, also mentioned in the Antipater's quote. First up, the Colossus of Rhodes, erected in the city of Rhodes on the island of the same name. Despite a common misconception, this statue didn't straddle the entrance to Mandrake Harbor in Rhodes. Sure, this would have looked spectacular, but it was just not feasible from an engineering standpoint. In reality, the Colossus of Rhodes likely stood beside the harbor, blessing and protecting the city. So what exactly did the Colossus of Rhodes look like? Well, the Colossus of Rhodes, a 107-foot-tall marvel designed by the sculptor Chares of Lindos, was a gigantic sculpture of Helios, the Greek sun god, raising a torch in one hand and holding a spear in the other. If this pose reminds you of another famous statue, it's no coincidence. The Colossus of Rhodes supposedly inspired the French sculptor Auguste Bartholdi when he created the iconic Statue of Liberty in New York City. But this is far from the only incredible information regarding the Colossus of Rhodes. According to legends, the Colossus of Rhodes was funded by Rhodians themselves after selling tools and equipment left behind during a Macedonian siege in the 4th century BC. In fact, the statue was supposedly built to celebrate the city's successful defense against the siege led by Demetrius Poliorcetes. The Colossus was built using bronze, but was reinforced with iron and weighed down with stones. Unfortunately, as we know now, this wasn't enough to keep this colossal statue standing. The statue, which took 12 years to construct, only stood there for some 50 years, from 282 BC to 224 BC, when it was destroyed by an earthquake. But even after breaking apart at the knees and falling onto the island, the remnants of the statue remained a highly popular attraction for over 800 years. After it toppled, the ruins were left in place until 654 AD, when Arabs invaded Rhodes and transported the broken bronze pieces back to the city of Edessa, modern-day Şanlıurfa. Allegedly, it took as many as 900 camels to do so. Talk about colossal. Colossal is also how you can describe the last wonder of the ancient world on our list. The statue of Zeus at Olympia, the site of the ancient Olympics. Sure, at roughly 40 feet, this statue was nowhere near the immense height of the Colossus of Rhodes. However, it managed to be equally awe-inspiring. After all, the fabled god Zeus, father of all gods, deserved nothing less than a masterpiece to honor his divine presence. This wonder was built in 430 BC by the most renowned sculptor of that time, Phidias, also known as Phidias. The statue was carved from ivory and encrusted in gold and precious gems. It depicted Zeus sitting on a cedar wood throne while holding a life-size statue of Nike, the goddess of victory, in one hand and a scepter topped with an eagle in the other. The statue of Zeus was said to fill the entire width of an aisle at the Temple of Zeus, with Zeus's head almost touching the ceiling. People even joked that Zeus couldn't stand up without hitting his head. Legend has it that this didn't bother Zeus, who struck the temple with lightning as a sign of approval soon after Phidias completed it. Unfortunately, Zeus seemingly wasn't able to save his statue from destruction. There are two conflicting accounts regarding the fate of the statue of Zeus. According to the first, the temple and in turn the statue were destroyed by an earthquake in 426 AD. The second prolongs the statue's life for about 50 years. According to this account, the temple was closed and the statue was moved to a temple in Constantinople, present-day Istanbul, where it was eventually destroyed in a fire. The unfortunate fate of the 6 out of the 7 wonders of the ancient world shows the fleeting nature of even the grandest achievements of human civilization. But no matter how long they lasted and how they were destroyed, the legacy of these wonders endures through the pages of history, art, and human imagination. Even with the introduction of the new 7 wonders of the world in the 2000s, the interest in the original 7 wonders has never waned. Of course, these wonders are far from the only stunning achievements of ancient engineering and architecture, as the achievements of many civilizations of Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas remained unknown to the Hellenic people. That's why you can also find lists of lesser-known wonders of the ancient world, featuring constructions like Newgrange in Ireland and the Lishan giant Buddha in China. But what do you think? Was there a construction you deemed deserving of the flattering title of a wonder of the ancient world that didn't make the list? Also, which of the official 7 wonders would you like to visit the most, and why? Sound off in the comments section below.